Usually when an organization rolls out like a massive new technology, the success or failure of it basically comes down to the tech itself.
Right, yeah. Like, are the servers crashing?
Exactly. Or, the software is buggy, or maybe the data migration was just a total disaster.
Oh, it's always the data migration.
Always. But today we are going on a deep dive into a completely different kind of bottleneck. We are synthesizing a whole stack of recent research from MIT neuroimaging studies to these massive strategic frameworks from the World Economic Forum and McKinsey.
And we're trying to figure out exactly why enterprise AI adoption is hitting a wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is hitting a massive wall. And spoiler alert for everyone listening, it has absolutely nothing to do with the algorithms. It has everything to do with human cognitive exhaustion.
Yeah, we are basically running straight into the biological limits of the human mind. The technology we are building right now, I mean, it works flawlessly.
But the people using it are burning out.
Fundamentally burning out at a neurological level. Organizations are treating human cognition like it's this infinite resource, and the biology is violently pushing back.
And the numbers on this, they're just staggering. I mean, if you look at the research we're diving into today, 79% of organizations have adopted generative AI.
Which is huge.
It's massive. But then only 39% are actually reporting a measurable business impact.
That is a massive gap.
Right. It means the vast majority of companies are buying the tools, deploying them, and then just nothing. The promised productivity just sort of evaporates.
Yeah.
And coming from my background in organizational strategy and work design, I look at that 39% and I see a massive operational failure. Like, the workflows are just broken.
But from a neuroscientific lens, which is, where I'm coming from.
Right, you're looking at the wetware.
Exactly. I'm looking at the physical brain. And what I'm seeing is a systemic rejection of this entire new way of working.
So why is that happening?
Well, the problem is that we assume the brain is infinitely elastic.
Right.
We operate under this illusion that if we just, give someone faster tools, their brain can easily process the increased volume of output.
But it can't.
Neuroscience tells us that is demonstrably false. We have to look at what is physically happening in the neural pathways of an employee who is tasked with overseeing high-speed, high-volume AI systems all day long.
Oh, think about your own day for a second. Think about the last time you spent hours wrestling with new AI tools.
Oh, yeah. Like reviewing those machine-generated drafts.
Yes. Or trying to validate an automated data report.
Yeah.
By page 5, your eyes just completely glaze over. You feel this very specific kind of deep fatigue.
It's a heavy feeling.
Yeah. And you might be blaming yourself, right?
Yeah.
Thinking you just need to focus more or that you aren't adapting to the tech fast enough. But the mission of this deep dive today is to totally reframe that exhaustion.
Because it is not a personal failing.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a systemic neurological mismatch. Your brain is simply being asked to perform in a way it was never, ever designed to.
And moving the conversation from a software problem to a biological problem, that's the first step. And to really understand the biology, we have to look at how AI fundamentally changes the texture of our daily work.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at what this failure actually looks like on the ground. The text gives this incredible and honestly kind of terrifying example of a global pharmaceutical company.
Right, the drug discovery case.
Yeah, so they deployed these AI-powered drug discovery tools. And initially, it looked like a massive win. I mean, computational chemistry tasks that used to take human scientists weeks were suddenly getting done in days.
On paper, that is a total triumph for productivity.
Exactly. But then within 6 months, their innovation metrics completely tanked. And worse, 15% of their senior research staff just up and quit.
Oh.
Right. And when they did the exit interviews, the scientists didn't say they hated the technology itself. They hated what their daily jobs had become.
Because the AI was doing all the initial heavy lifting.
Exactly. So these brilliant scientists were relegated to just validating machine outputs all day long. They were basically just proofreading the AI.
Yeah.
And that led to this crushing, unrelenting decision fatigue.
It's exhausting.
To put this in perspective, it's like suddenly getting an AI sous chef that preps 100 meals a minute. You don't actually have less work. You just have the relentless, high-stakes job of tasting and quality controlling 100 boiling pots without a single break.
Without a break to even chop an onion.
Right. You never get to stir a sauce or chop an onion.
And that analogy perfectly illustrates the neurological shift here. Chopping the onion represents something absolutely crucial that the AI took away.
Which is what?
Cognitive variety. In any knowledge work, there used to be a natural biological rhythm. You had high-intensity judgment tasks, and those were followed by lower-intensity routine tasks.
Like formatting a document or pulling data.
Exactly, or just organizing your inbox. Those routine tasks rely on procedural memory. They're automatic. And while you are doing them, your brain is actually providing active recovery for your working memory.
Oh, wow. So you're resting while you work.
Exactly. But AI eliminates the routine. It strips away the procedural tasks and basically automates away your recovery time.
So you're just left with the highest stake decisions back to back with zero downtime. You are literally just tasting boiling pots all day.
Yeah. And the literature has a specific term for the physiological result of that. A 2026 study by Bedard and colleagues calls it brain fry.
Brain fry. I love that. I mean, I hate it, but it's very descriptive.
It is. And this isn't just your standard, Friday afternoon tiredness. It is sustained cognitive fatigue, dense mental fog, and demonstrably slower decision-making.
And the crazy thing, a really alarming thing, is who this is affecting.
Right. What's fascinating here is that this brain fry is primarily affecting the employees who are actively engaging with the AI.
It's not the people resisting the change.
No, it's the top performers. The ones leaning into the tech are the ones frying their neural circuits. They are accumulating what researchers call cognitive debt.
Let's define that, because cognitive debt feels like the exact phrase for what so many knowledge workers are experiencing right now.
Yeah, so cognitive debt is the accumulated burden of mental demands completely exceeding your available working memory and attentional resources.
Like you're overdrawing your brain's bank account.
Exactly. When you are engaged in active, high-stakes judgment, like, say, scanning a complex AI-generated report for a subtle hallucination, your neurons are firing at maximum metabolic capacity.
Okay.
They are burning glucose rapidly and leaving behind metabolic waste. Routine tasks used to give the brain a chance to clear this out while you were awake, but relentless AI oversight creates this localized metabolic crisis in the prefrontal cortex.
That structural reality, I mean, that brings up a terrifying long-term question.
Yeah.
If we are replacing our very daily task load with this state of constant high-stakes oversight, what is that doing to the physical architecture of our brains over time?
It's a great question, and the data is starting to show us.
Like, wait, so if I'm a strategist and I use AI to draft all my memos, synthesize my research, run my data models, am I literally automating away my own competence? Is my strategic thinking muscle physically atrophying?
Yes. We are actually beginning to see physical evidence that confirms exactly that. The source material references this recent neuroimaging study out of MIT by Kosmina and her colleagues.
What do they find?
Well, they looked at individuals who relied heavily on AI assistance for complex tasks, like essay writing and data synthesis. When they took the AI away and looked at the neural architecture of these subjects,
They actually scanned their brain.
it did, and they found reduced neural connectivity in regions of the brain associated with memory consolidation and independent reasoning.
Oh my God. So the neural pathways we use to synthesize complex information literally weaken from disuse.
Yes.
We are outsourcing the friction of thinking.
Yeah.
And in the process, we are losing the biological hardware that makes us capable of thinking deeply.
Right. It's called cognitive offloading. And habitual offloading leads to measurable declines in independent analytical capability.
That is wild.
But the damage isn't just from disuse. It's compounded by that metabolic crisis we talked about earlier, specifically regarding sleep.
Okay, so I assume this just means people are staying up until 2 in the morning trying to meet inflated AI quotas, so they're just sleep deprived?
Well, that's part of it, but it's far more mechanistic than just a lack of hours. See, the brain has this plumbing network called the glymphatic system.
The glymphatic system.
Right. Its entire job is to clear out those toxic metabolic waste products that build up in your neural tissue when you think hard. And this system operates 60% faster when you are in deep sleep compared to when you are awake.
Okay, so sleep is when the garbage trucks come out.
Exactly. Now, the intense, unrelenting cognitive demand of overseeing AI all day creates a massive, unprecedented buildup of this toxic waste.
So you are generating way more cognitive waste than you ever did before you had AI.
Far more. But because these workers are so overloaded with this continuous high-stakes review, they are highly stressed. Their cortisol is up, and they often sacrifice sleep to try and catch up on the backlog of machine output.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah. You generate double the cognitive waste, but you give your brain half the time to clean it up. It creates a toxic loop. And the buildup of these proteins specifically damages the prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's judgment, reasoning, and executive function center.
The exact center you rely on to effectively evaluate the AI in the first place.
Precisely.
You are degrading the very biological hardware required to do the job safely. It's like running a high-performance engine at the red line all day and then just refusing to change the oil.
And eventually the engine is going to seize.
Wow. And that is why the 39% success rate we talked about at the beginning makes complete sense biologically. We are literally redlining the human brain.
We are.
Which means, from an organizational standpoint, we can't just keep managing AI rollouts the way we manage, like, regular software updates.
No, the old playbook doesn't work.
So what does this all mean? We need a massive paradigm shift in how we view the workforce. And the text introduces a strategic framework from the World Economic Forum and the McKinsey Health Institute that provides the exact vocabulary we need for this.
Right, the concept of brain capital.
Yes, brain capital. It is an incredibly vital reframing. How do they define it structurally?
Well, they argue that human cognitive capacity is no longer an HR issue.
It's not just a wellness thing.
Right. It's not a wellness initiative where you offer, some yoga classes, a meditation app, maybe a seminar on burnout. Brain capital is literal hard production infrastructure.
You have to treat the human brain the exact same way you treat your server farms.
Or your data architecture. Exactly. If your servers were overheating and crashing because the load was too heavy, you wouldn't tell the servers to just be more resilient.
Right. You wouldn't send the servers to a mindfulness retreat.
You would fundamentally redesign the architecture to manage the load. And the framework breaks brain capital down into two distinct measurable parts.
Okay, what are they?
First, you have brain health. That's the physical neurobiology, the sleep quality, the stress regulation, and the physical plasticity of the neural networks.
They're the hardware.
That's the hardware. And second, you have brain skills, the software. These are the learned capabilities like complex reasoning, learning agility, and nuanced judgment.
The core thesis here is just brilliant in its simplicity. AI only amplifies human capability if that human capability is adequately provisioned.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you absolutely cannot overlay a high-speed, high-volume AI tool onto a depleted, sleep-deprived brain and expect good business outcomes.
It's a biological impossibility. The human has to be at peak cognitive capacity to manage an AI that's operating at peak computational capacity.
Exactly.
Think about your own career trajectory for a moment. Your ability to focus, to synthesize disparate information, and to exercise nuanced judgment that is now your ultimate professional asset in the AI era.
It's the one thing the machine cannot do.
But it's also a finite biological resource that requires fierce, intentional protection.
Which brings us to the operational reality. If brain capital is our most valuable infrastructure, how do organizations actually step in and protect it? We know the theory, but what does the intervention actually look like?
Here's where it gets really interesting. The text outlines a few structural strategies, and the first one focuses entirely on managing our daily focus. They call it attentional design.
And focusing on attention is critical because right now our current baseline is shockingly poor.
How bad is it?
Well, the text cites research by Gloria Mark from 2023 studying modern knowledge workers. In a typical office environment, the average knowledge worker sustains attention on a single screen before switching tasks or being interrupted for a grand total of 47 seconds.
Wait, 47 seconds?
How is that?
That is barely enough time to read an email, let alone evaluate a complex predictive model.
And the biological penalty for those interruptions is incredibly steep. When a worker is interrupted, it takes an average of 23 minutes for them to recover their full attentional focus on that original complex task.
Okay, I always thought that 23-minute stat was just about the time it takes to physically click back to the right tab and, remember what you were reading. Why does it take so long biologically?
It's about the metabolic cost of task switching. Your working memory is like a mental whiteboard.
Okay.
When you are deeply reviewing, say, a legal contract, you have loaded a massive amount of context onto that whiteboard. If a Slack message pings and you pivot to answer a quick question about a marketing budget, your brain has to aggressively wipe the whiteboard clean and load a completely new mental model.
Wow.
Wiping and reloading that context is metabolically expensive. When you finally go back to the legal contract, your brain has to painstakingly reconstruct the original context from scratch.
If you do that every 47 seconds,
Your working memory simply collapses.
and you simply cannot do high-stakes AI validation with that level of attentional fragmentation.
Mm.
If an AI flags a subtle anomaly in a financial report or, I don't know, hallucinates a weird edge case in medical data, you aren't going to catch it if your brain is constantly wiping and reloading its whiteboard.
No, you won't. The cognitive load of task switching physically prevents the deep neural engagement required to spot machine errors. You will just accept the AI's output because you literally don't have the metabolic energy to question it.
So how do we fix it? The text details how vanguard organizations are solving this through what they call cognitive load architecture.
Right.
They aren't just telling people to focus more or turn off their notifications. They are structurally engineering the workflow itself. And the best example in the text is the Cleveland Clinic.
What did they do?
They rolled out AI-assisted diagnostic tools for their doctors, but they recognized the danger of brain fry. They didn't just dump the AI outputs into the doctor's existing chaotic inboxes. They completely rebuilt the workflow using tiered review protocols.
How did they manage the cognitive demands of that triage?
So routine, high-confidence AI recommendations were fast-tracked through one system. But complex or ambiguous cases, the ones requiring deep human judgment, were routed to doctors during dedicated, interruption-free time blocks.
Just for those hard cases.
Exactly. And during those blocks, there were no pagers, no administrative questions, no Slack messages. Just pure, protected focus. And they even took it a step further.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they dynamically routed the work based on a clinician's current cognitive load in real time.
Wow.
If a doctor had just come off a grueling 12-hour shift, the system knew not to assign them the most ambiguous AI edge cases because their prefrontal cortex was already depleted.
That is a masterclass in neurobiological intervention. They manage the working memory demands structurally, rather than just, relying on individual willpower.
And the result of architecting the work this way was phenomenal. Diagnostic errors dropped by 18%, and clinician fatigue significantly decreased.
It works.
We have to design jobs that intentionally mix high-intensity AI oversight with low-intensity routine tasks to allow for active recovery. It's like interval training for the brain, like crop rotation.
Crop rotation, I like that.
Yeah. You can't just plant the most nutrient-draining crop in the exact same soil season after season and expect a yield. You will destroy the soil. You have to rotate in low-intensity tasks to let the neural soil recover.
The crop rotation metaphor is perfect for managing daily energy, but the Cleveland Clinic solution only really addresses the immediate burnout.
True.
If we look back at that MIT study, the one showing actual neural pathways weakening, we still have a terrifying long-term issue.
The structural decline.
Exactly. If we successfully protect our focus and we engineer our days to manage our metabolic energy, how do we stop our fundamental reasoning skills from permanently atrophying over the course of years?
This is where the text introduces the concept of adaptive skill preservation. And the example that illustrates this perfectly comes from Goldman Sachs.
What did Goldman do?
They deployed advanced AI tools for financial modeling and market analysis. Initially, it was incredibly efficient, but leadership quickly realized a dangerous trend. Their junior analysts were becoming world-class at operating the AI tools, but they were entirely losing their foundational finance and modeling skills.
Because the AI was doing the math.
Right. The analysts no longer intuitively understood how the underlying financial models actually work.
They lost their internal cognitive model of the domain, which means they had no biological benchmark to judge if the AI was hallucinating or making a subtle mathematical error.
So Goldman Sachs instituted a radical back-to-basics program. Every single month, these analysts are required to build complex financial models entirely by hand.
No AI.
No AI assistance allowed whatsoever. They have to solve valuation problems from scratch, wrestling with the raw data, and then defend their methodology to their peers. Now, from a business strategy standpoint, playing devil's advocate here, forcing highly paid junior analysts to build models by hand sounds like a massive waste of payroll. It's deliberately inefficient. Why not just train them to be better AI prompters?
This raises an important question, and the answer is because prompting isn't reasoning. Neurologically, this deliberate, inefficient practice without AI is the only way to maintain the neural pathways for independent judgment.
It keeps the pathways alive.
Exactly. To understand finance or medicine or strategy, your brain has to wrestle with the raw variables. It has to experience the friction of problem solving to build a robust cognitive map of the subject.
And if you don't do that,
If you only ever look at the AI's finished product, that map decays. The analysts have to do it the slow way so their brains retain the capacity to spot when the fast way makes a mistake.
and the business results prove the biological theory. Goldman found that the analysts who engaged in this manual hand modeling were significantly better at spotting AI errors.
Makes perfect sense.
Because their internal judgment wasn't allowed to atrophy, they were vastly superior overseers of the technology. The text summarizes this brilliantly. Skill preservation is literally quality assurance for AI. You have to maintain the human benchmark.
We see the exact same intervention in the healthcare sector, actually. Some teaching hospitals now force medical residents to do unplugged rotations.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they have to diagnose complex patient cases using traditional methods, and they are only allowed to use the AI to verify their work after they've firmly committed to a diagnosis.
That's incredibly smart.
It forces the brain to calibrate its own judgment against the machine, ensuring the resident actually understands the tool's blind spots.
All of this points to one massive, undeniable synthesis. The overarching lesson from this research is that treating human cognitive capacity as infinitely elastic will absolutely cap your AI success.
100%.
The true bottleneck to the multi-trillion-dollar promise of AI isn't the processing power of the algorithm. It's the biological limits of the human mind. The organizations that actually win in the next decade won't just be the ones buying the best software.
No, they will be the ones that invest as heavily in the biological brains using the technology as they do in the technology itself.
They have to treat brain capital as their most critical infrastructure.
That means structurally designing the work to protect attention, mandating cognitive recovery time, and forcing the deliberate offline practice of fundamental skills.
So as you head back into your own work this week, take a hard look at your own cognitive load. Are you acting like a machine that never needs to power down?
Are you delegating so much of your critical thinking that you can feel your professional edge dulling?
It is time to start advocating for your own brain capital. Set boundaries on interruptions to protect your working memory. Demand dedicated focus time. And maybe, just maybe, choose to do a complex task the hard way this week, completely unplugged, just to keep your own neural pathways firing.
Protect your prefrontal cortex. As we automate more and more of the routine, your independent judgment is the only thing keeping you relevant.
But I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over, one that goes even beyond the research we discussed today.
Okay, let's hear it.
If organizations actually listen to this data, and they successfully engineer everyone's cognitive load, if they perfectly structure our days with optimal intervals of high-stakes AI oversight and carefully planned active recovery, do we risk optimizing away the magic?
Oh, that's interesting.
What happens to the messy, unstructured, utterly inefficient, idle brain time? Because historically, staring out a window with a wandering, unfocused mind is exactly where human intuition, serendipity, and truly disruptive out-of-the-box ideas originate. If we architect the perfect cognitive workflow to oversee the machine, do we accidentally engineer out the space for the next great human leap? Something to think about.